Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our F1 23 driver career mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. It has been a terrible stretch of races that were off of 3 consecutive races with DNFs in Monaco, the crash, China with the early crash that put us out with damage, and then Canada with the mechanical failure. And coming into this weekend, you saw it there briefly, Connor Sport bringing upgrades. A bit surprised to see that one. We'll touch on that a bit more, but first, to kick off this weekend, we had McLaren's future update with Zach Brown.
We've accomplished a lot here at McLaren, and today we're excited to announce our future. We're partnering with Toyota starting next year in a multi-year collaboration as we aim to dominate Formula One. We look forward to bringing McLaren Toyota to the track next year.
We're ready to roll then here this weekend in Spielberg for Austrian Grand Prix action. Of course, a home race for the Red Bull Racing team. So the expectation is to, well, get rid of, all these gremlins that have been plaguing myself here over the past, season that has been going. We've got the one win in France. That's really the only thing we have to show. We were going to win in Canada, and then the gearbox failed. We had an opportunity to win in Mexico, and we had the contact with Drugovich and Verstappen, of course, on that restart on the rundown into turn 1. It's not been a pretty season, and it will take a full-blown miracle to win a championship at this point now, because following today's episode, we will be officially halfway through this 16-race season. So yeah, it's going to be nearly impossible. Never say never. Fortunately, honestly, with a few good races, we could still claw our way into second in the standings. That's quite surprising considering, how bad our season has been, and we're really in reality not far out of second place in the championship right now, at least not too far. And then, the championship lead, Alex Albon, just so far out in front considering how many races he has won this season. It's been absolutely insane. I think he's equaled the wins he had last season total already this season, so it's been a great season for him. Q1 was a breeze. Connor Sport with their new upgrades, well, they were putting it on show. Jack Doohan in his second start, P10 in Q1, while Callie Mayer in P13. So Connor Sport in really just unexpected to see any upgrades from a bottom 5 team. A great unexpected moment, because like I said, I thought we were done seeing upgrades for everybody, and it was kind of getting a bit stale in the bottom teams, but now we have seen this, so that is exciting for the future of the series. Hopefully we see other teams start to continue to upgrade. Unfortunately, Connor Sport's still not quick enough to break into the actual top 10. Jack Doohan, P11, while his teammate of Callie Mayer there in P13. We roll through into Q3. My first lap, well, it was only good enough for 10th place, and 10th place is kind of a common thing for me in Austria. I'm very slow when it comes to qualifying in the Austrian Grand Prix. I've never been able to do very well around here, but our race pace is usually pretty decent. So my second lap would find some improvement, actually, a purple sector 2, but it wasn't going to translate to a pole position. It was actually still going to be P10 because my sector 1 and 3 were not quick enough, and I couldn't go quicker on the third lap. So P10 is where we will start, right there with our teammate of Felipe Drugovich, while championship leader Albon on pole, Russell second in the points, second on the grid. 4 British drivers there, second through 5th, as we get ready to go racing on Sunday in Austria.
Good afternoon and welcome to Spielberg, and to a circuit that in one form or another has held every Austrian Grand Prix in the championship except the very first back in 1964. It was at this race that John Watson lost a bet and his beard when he took Team Penske's only F1 victory in 1976. If anything, the stakes are even higher today, with 25 points available for victory and a crucial advantage in the championship fight. The Spielberg circuit then is situated 700 metres above sea level, with just 10 corners making up one of the shortest laps of the season. One time around here is a distance of around 2.6 miles, with the best overtaking chances into turn 1 or the tight uphill of turn 3. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. What a great lap from Alexander Albon yesterday. He'll start from pole position. And starting next to them is George Russell. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Jackson, Hamilton, Oscar Piastri, Verstappen, Leclerc, Drugovich, Golden Boy, Doohan, Ocon, Mayer, Gasly, Sainz, Liam Lawson, Hughes, Joe, Tsunoda, and Marcus Armstrong. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. And with me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. We should talk about Williams. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
We're ready to roll here on the grid for the Austrian Grand Prix from the 10th starting position. Really just hoping today I'm not even looking to win this race. I'm looking to just complete this race successfully, get a top 5. Top 5 is the goal today, and then we're going to focus in on the summer break and the final 8 races of the season. Those final 8 races, we're going to try and go on a tear there and just win as many as we can as we're ready to roll.
Here we go then, the formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? Well, we'll soon find out.
About 3/4 of the grid on mediums, while all the top 4 start on softs.
As the cars make their way back to the starting grid to form up and get ready for lights out, let's hope the race ahead today is a thrilling one that will go down as a memorable Grand Prix in the history books.
Hey Gary, it's Christian. We're going to have a good day today. You best believe it.
Thanks, Christian. Let's have a good one. I can feel it. Ready to roll now as we get ready to get back into our grid slot here on this number 99 Ford Performance Red Bull machine for the home race here for this team now, as the Alfa Romeo Haas is going to line up to the back of the grid there with the BMW machines. Alex Albon on pole position, George Russell chasing in the back after him in both this race and the championship. Here's we're racing here officially from Austria. It's lights out, we swing to the right side, catch the track host of Leclerc off guard there. He's falling down the order immediately now. Jackson up the inside of Russell in their turn 1, still a winless season for Aiden Jackson, but Russell gets away and stays second, while Albon, look at the gap he's already put between himself and everybody now. As you can see, just behind Jackson, that's Oscar Piastri up the inside of Lando Norris, and you got the Ferrari duo. I'm up the inside of Max Verstappen. Well, hello there, Mr. Verstappen. We don't even need to get, ugly with him after what happened in Monaco, because we're able to breeze past the Dutchman in the Ferrari now. And obviously, Ferrari so far, outside of the win they got with Hamilton after the chaos at the end of the Mexico Grand Prix, this superstar lineup really hasn't turned into much of a factor for the championship or anything for them. It's really not materializing. Hamilton's got the win, but that's it. Hasn't really done a whole lot outside of that, and Max Verstappen really hasn't done a whole lot either. It just seems like something with Ferrari is just they're cursed or something in this game. I don't quite get it now. It's quite unfortunate for them, but we would maintain P7 here on the opening lap. My teammate of Felipe Drugovich currently runs in 9th place, but early on I was really struggling to maintain with the cars ahead, and you can see as DRS now gets enabled, I was just hanging on for my life, trying to stay within the 1 second of Hamilton, and obviously as I'm trying to fight and stay with him, Verstappen is right there with me on lap 4. Verstappen looks up the inside. You can imagine I'm not even going to give him a chance, and he actually ran wide from an awkward line and lost a spot there. Brief yellow, he would get back on track and maintain 9th place.
He chopped my nose into turn 1. What a moron.
And you hear Verstappen reaction there. I don't feel bad. We continue on, and that allowed my teammate of Drugovich to get ahead of him. And Verstappen, I think, is faster than Drugovich and faster than me. I don't think the Red Bull is really hooking up to this circuit very well, and lap 7 is when Verstappen's opportunity to attack Drugovich would take place here on the run down towards turn 3. He's going to be up the inside here into the braking zone. They're going to be wheel to wheel. Drugovich, just like I didn't make it easy on Max, well, Drugovich is not going to make it easy on Verstappen either. So Verstappen holds the P9, but hold on, Verstappen pulling over to the side of the track slow, smoke pouring out of the back, a mechanical failure for the Dutchman there. It's going to be day over for Max Verstappen here, and what of course used to be a big race for him, a home Grand Prix for Red Bull, of course, with all the years he spent with the team. Now it's heartbreak with Ferrari here in Austria. Really unfortunate to see him out.
Yeah, very much so.
we continue on and try to run down the cars in front, and we were hitting the point now where my mediums were starting to kick in. There was a mix of softs in front of us, and they were starting to fade a little bit, actually. So, you know, on lap 10, at this point, you can see, look at this group of cars right here. You got Oscar Piastri, you got George Russell, you got Lando Norris, as well as you got Lewis Hamilton, all right here in this group. Right now, Russell down in that 5th spot. Usually it's the opposite. We see his teammate Norris down there while Russell's up in 2nd, but it's Norris up in 2nd here today now, as actually he was able to pass Russell a little bit after that whole incident there with Max Verstappen, as we now go up the inside of Lewis Hamilton here into the braking zone, wheel to wheel. Can we get the job done? Yes, maybe. No, not quite. Hamilton right there on our left rear. He's not going to make it easy now. He lunges back into the left-hander, and he stays ahead with a bit of a moment in the process there. Fortunately, it didn't lead to any contact, but we're going to get it back here on the exit of the turn 3 apex there. And now, finally, through onto the 6th position in front of Lewis Hamilton here as we try to run down this next group of cars. And Jackson, Piastri, Russell, they're all going at it right here. And I think we're setting up for a heck of a battle. Yes, we are. Russell swings to the left. Jackson, no DRS. Piastri right onto the back of him. He's going to force a 3 wide up the inside into turn 3. Where do I go? I'm just going to try and find a hole, and it's right here on the right side. Russell through around the outside. He goes from, what was that, 5th to 3rd. We're going to try and go from 6th to 4th here now. We passed the Trackhouse machine of Oscar Piastri. We're up the inside of Jackson into turn 4, and sure enough, job well done. Into the position we go as we are now in striking distance of a podium here in the Austrian Grand Prix home for Red Bull Racing now, as it would be the first time since France. It would only be the 2nd podium of the season if we are able to pull it off, but keep in mind we're not even on the podium currently, so we have to do that. But we were running down Russell. Of course, the DRS assistance plays a big role here as we swing to the left side, lap 13 at this point, and this should be a relatively easy one. Yes, it is. Around the outside there, the mediums just out gripping right now those soft tires. We are flying. Albon out in front by 5.7 seconds, and Norris in front of us by about 3.6. But once I passed George Russell, we get into that little DRS situation where basically you cannot get away from each other, and now that's just going to create this back and forth effect, and as well that's going to waste time, so it's going to be very hard to run down Lando Norris right now, as well as Alex Albon. So we got back out in front of Russell, but then he's going to get back in front of me. Lap 15 is the pit window for the soft tire. Now, since we're going to the hards, I mean, they're going to be taking mediums from now to the end. We might as well pit as well if we're going to be taking hard compound tires to the end. So we will get ahead of Russell, and as we are heading into the pits, you can see Russell's going to follow us. Albon as well is coming in. Lando Norris stays out a bit longer here, so we're going to come in and put on the hard tires, but all these guys right now that are pitting with us, they're going to be putting on the mediums. So obviously the situation and expectation is that within about the 10 or so closing laps of this Grand Prix, that's when things are going to start to swing, hopefully in our direction, in our favor. But we get a decent gap actually on Russell as I nearly go into the guardrail there on the left side pit exit, but we get just out in front of the Connor Sport drivers of Jack Doohan in his 2nd start in Formula 1, of course, replacing the forced into retirement Devin Butler. Callie Maier's right there behind him as well in P11, but my pace was getting absolutely obliterated by George Russell. This is not surprising. He's on brand new mediums while I'm on hard, so he would run me down and he would overtake me. I was really just a sitting duck right there. But once this whole pit cycle runs through, we're still going to be in that 4th position behind Albon, Norris, and Russell, as now we would get out in front of Oscar Piastri. And then I look in the relative there, the timing, and see that Aiden Jackson is next up in line, 1.6 seconds back, and he is starting to reel me in. Once he got those tires heated up after coming out of the pits, he was closing the gap. So I think it's going to be another driver that we're going to have to deal with before this is over. My teammate Drungovich finally pits at the end of lap 19, come to lap 20, and I'd actually fallen out of DRS of Russell. He had driven away, and that left me vulnerable to this guy, Aiden Jackson, who had run me down in the McLaren and breezed past me. So now the hope is we can just stay within Jackson's DRS and get to that point where the hards start to, benefit us and are quicker than the mediums. Hamilton on the hards as well and P7 right now, trying to run down Oscar Piastri in that McLaren here. As we come to lap 22 here into the braking zone, really deep into the braking zone, and actually got such a good run. We're right to the back of Jackson at purple sector 1. We might as well go for the overtaking opportunity. It's right there. Of course, big news this weekend with McLaren switching to Toyota next season. It will be McLaren Toyota Racing, and I've already seen what the car looks like. It looks absolutely fantastic. I can't wait for you guys to see what the future of that team looks like here as this back and forth continues with Jackson. But I decided, you know what, instead of doing the back and forth, let's just ride and try to hopefully allow him to pull me up towards George Russell, who's nearly 3 seconds down the road, as we're going to go through the grid in these closing laps.
Albon out in front in his McLaren, or soon to be McLaren Toyota, that is going into next year.
A great move for Toyota to get back in the sport. I think McLaren is an unstoppable force right now, especially with Albon.
There's been talk as well about the future of Williams now that they have lost their sponsorship with Martini. Ted, what can you share about them?
Yeah, guys, a rumour that has been floating around is that a very popular car brand is interested in working with Williams next year. So Toyota might not be the only new brand we see on the grid.
How about that? 2 new brands would be great for the sport. We see Piastri and Hamilton fighting here into turn 3. Looks like Hamilton will have the edge on the Trackhouse car.
He'll try to fight back, but Hamilton is a 9-time world champion. Let's not forget, he will maintain the position.
Look at Callie Mayer. She's in the points again today. Connor Sport had a lot of questions about the status of the team, but brought big upgrades this weekend, and it is proving to put them ahead of the midfield teams.
Jack Doohan as well, with a respectable second race in 11th currently.
And there you have the through the grid segment here now, as there was still some battling happening. That's Pierre Gasly in the Alpine up the inside of Carlos Sainz on the exit of turn 3. Sainz, though, he would hang on for the time being there in that 14th position now as we continue on. We actually got back out in front of Aiden Jackson, and then in the run towards turn 3, he gets up the inside, but I actually get the DRS. He had the nose on me at the DRS detection point. Now everybody dealing with lap traffic as well, as Jackson's right there behind us now. As you can see, George Russell really struggling actually in lap traffic, and that opened the door for us to get into the mix now. Tsunoda in the BMW having a pretty rough day here, and P18 was in his way now, so Tsunoda did not do a good job of getting out of the way for the Mercedes, and now he's not going to do a good job of getting out of my way either. A bit of contact made. We continue on after just having a big moment nearly. Fortunately, it didn't turn into too much, but a poor run out of the final turn, and again, Aiden Jackson back through into 4th, but at least Russell's right there. He's on the inside of JQ's in the Williams. A poor exit that time. You saw the rear end slip for Jackson, wheel to wheel. Where are we going to go? We're going to split Hughes there, put him in the middle of a 3-wide scenario. We continue drag racing up towards turn number 3. On the run down through the corner, we're going to be able to get the grip and power on the exit back through into 4th again. Russell right there for 3rd. Can we go get him for that position? Albon dealing with plenty of lap traffic. You can see him on the track map, and he's got Lando Norris trying to chase him down. Mercedes desperately trying to get back to the top step of the podium. They are looking so much better this season, but they still can't quite get a victory now up the inside. Here goes Jackson. I let him have it coming to these final 5 laps because I just did not want to commit to a side-by-side battle through that series of corners. A lap later through there again, you can see Jackson actually stretching out the gap. Yellow flags in the background, actually safety car deployed, and it's a big incident there. That's Hughes, who we just lapped a few laps ago, who was crashed, and it was actually with our teammate. He goes wide out of the penultimate corner and tries to rejoin and runs into the side of my teammate of Drugovich, and that would bring out the safety car. A very short-lived safety car. As quickly as the safety car was brought out was basically as quickly as it was coming back in, because it's going to give us a 2-lap dash with lap cars in between Russell and 2nd place. So Albon Norris are free to battle it out, and 2 lap cars need to move out of the way as we return to racing with 2 laps to go. Sainz, Gasly, they do a very good job getting out of the way. Very sportsmanlike, aside from the fact that they were planted on the apex in front of Oscar Piastri. Piastri and Lewis Hamilton. But through turn 3, this is where we know the opportunity to pass Jackson's going to be. And sure enough, on the exit, here we go. We grip it up. He's not going to give up, though. Wheel to wheel again on the run down towards turn 4. I want a podium, but it's going to be very hard to get it. On the run into turn 4, we take the position. And now into 4th we go. 3rd is right there, coming to the final lap in Austria. Alex Albon has had an incredible season as I've used all of my battery deploy, and now that's going to allow Jackson to fight back into turn 1. Wheel to wheel, I'm gonna keep it around the outside. We stay ahead for the time being. There no DRS on this final lap now, and it's all Albon who's trying to hold off Lando Norris, who gets to him but does not make a move, and that should solidify Albon at the top step of the podium here today in the Austrian Grand Prix. But it looks like it's going to be a double Mercedes podium as well to go along with that. Alex Albon and McLaren, he's going to get, I think, win number 6 on the season at this point, which is more wins than he had last season when he won his first championship in Formula 1. Albon wins again in a dominant season so far. The first half of the season comes to a close, P4, just short of a podium. But you know what? I said the goal was the top 5 going into the summer break, and we got exactly that. P4 here in the Austrian Grand Prix. Driver of the day, Yuki Tsunoda, for being in the way of too many people.
McLaren have pulled it off. They've won in spectacular fashion here today. Well, Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today, but what set them apart from the rest?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
I really don't know how we're supposed to take this guy down. Alex Albon is absolutely insane. His teammate of Aiden Jackson has kind of fallen off here this season. It felt like he was really looking good until that self-spin while leading in Mexico in just race 2, and then it's just not been the same Aiden Jackson since that moment. He's really seemed to maybe have lost some confidence following that. He needs to find it quick, or someone does. George Russell obviously is the closest to him, but Mercedes, I mean, they're looking back. It's just they can't kind of dethrone Albon. Everybody seems to be able to take down Jackson, but no one's right now able to take down Albon. However, I'm confident, if we can, get Albon when he's down, we can get him good. So that's the goal here. Dragovic actually got a 5-second time penalty for the contact with Jake Hughes, which was a bit surprising to me, considering Hughes was the one that went off track. But we're 10th in the standings, 123 back, and we're only about 60 out of second place of Russell, and only about 20 out of a top 5, which is fantastic there. That's going to wrap it up for me. We have the summer break, which we'll talk about in the next episode, and then the British Grand Prix to go along with it. I'll see you guys then. Have a great day.